Starting right now. Greetings, everybody. This is Sir15451 here, and welcome to another episode of Weeb Warriors. This week, Jay can't join us, but joining me as always is Jordan. How are you feeling today, Jordan?
Feeling pretty good. Glad to be here.
All right. Well, first things first, we're going to have to make a few announcements. Well, mostly one. That we're cutting quite a bit of shows from our review catalog. And the sole reason for that is some of these shows were dull as shit.
Yeah, I don't know. They all had good promise, and we'll get into like the itemized list of the ones that we dropped. They all had good promise on like a high-level premise basis. The first episode seemed to be okay. You may have even recalled that I gave one of them a pretty good review after the first episode, but they didn't capitalize on a lot of the features that made them distinct, and now it's either repetitive, simply dry as all hell, or bordering on just sort of creepy.
That is very true.
And I guess I'll start with the one that I'm thinking about right now is I can't even think of the name anymore. I don't like it that much. Ironheart Jarn. Ragnarok and the Blessed Ironheart Jarn. Or Ragnarok of the Blessed. Either way. Drop that one. First episode was pretty interesting. You know, it subverted a lot of tropes for the isekai genre in the fact that our main protagonist has already established himself in this world, and we get to see him operate as the commander. And it also introduces a pretty interesting system with the Ironheart Jar and how they have powers and things of supernatural powers and whatnot, and the various clan-based warfare that's going on. And then they just went and fucked it. Yeah, they pulled a 2 Chainz on King is Dead for honestly. It was just terrible for no reason. And it gets creepy, right? Like, I tried to accept the whole like familial hierarchy thing with them calling themselves sister and children and whatnot, because it made sense within the universe, but then it just got way too unsettling, and then the twins got introduced, and that was honestly the breaking point for me.
I mean,
yeah.
At first, the stuff didn't really bother me as bad, but then as it went on, it's like, I feel uncomfortable with this. I try to look past it, but when you're at your limit, you're basically going to say, like, no, I'm done. This is enough for me. I am done.
Yeah, it was too much. Also, it felt really not even so much episodic, but methodical.
Yeah, it's just,
we defeated the Hoof clan, and now they're getting attacked by the Horn clan. So we had to go fight them, and look, now it's the Lightning clan. And then there was another clan, and I'm just like, okay, we get it. There's clans. Shit.
Yeah.
And the thing that I praised it for at first about it being already in an established world, I praised it with the intention, thinking that they were going to show us how the fuck he got there, or at least not introduce people with their relationships in media race. Like, you introduce the blacksmith, and she's already in love with him, and we just sort of have to piece together that when he first came to the world, she was the one that he interacted with primarily before he became the patriarch of the Wolf Clan. It's just like, okay. But then they do it for everyone, and it's like, okay, this is getting bothersome.
Yeah, this is getting frustrating. I mean, I can see what they're trying to do, but when you're leaving your audience pretty much in the dark, especially if the audience has no real way to actually see the source material of whatever the hell is going on, yeah, we're kind of pretty much dumbfounded in knowing what the fuck is going on. I mean, we know exactly what's going on, but the backstory isn't really there.
Yeah. Does it even have a source material? Is there like a manga or a light novel out about this?
I believe that it's a light novel adaptation. I mean, most modern anime nowadays are light novel adaptations, barely any manga adaptations.
Well, I mean, I think just light novels are more popular and there's a lot more content to go off of. You know, mangas are limited to the framework, but a novel, you could easily adapt that into many different mediums because you can just take whole scenes and make them into episodes.
Not much is true. And on top of that, most light novels get manga adaptations anyway.
True. Although
But then,
I oftentimes like the light novel adaptation more. I guess I just wish there was some illustrations in light novels, not necessarily make it into a picture book, but make it into a picture book.
I mean, they do have some images for the light novel, other than like the covers or whatnot, but it's very few and far between. I mean, the only light novel that I know of that's actually published here, well, I know of a few, but the one I've seen the most, like out in the world, is one about a shield hero.
Ah, yes, that is my damn show right there. I read I read the manga. It is amazing. My dude was going through. They did not appreciate his effort, and then yeah. I hope that one gets an anime adaptation. I hope it's not shit. But moving right along, another thing they dropped, Angel of Death. Dropped Angel of Death not because it was awful, but it felt like I was watching a murder mystery video game, like Danganronpa, but more boring.
Yeah, like that. In a way, I kind of felt like I'm gonna need a lot of motivation to watch this show, and when a show becomes essentially a chore for me to watch, I'm not gonna watch it anymore.
Yeah. So like I made it through the first 3 episodes, and then I was just like, this literally feels like a mini map. This literally feels like a mission, right? Like
Yep.
you can't escape the floor with the gravestones. You gotta find the secret passageway. Also, I don't appreciate how all the main characters are trying to kill Rachel
Yeah.
and trying to make it seem like they're doing her a favor or it's in some sort of loving fashion. I get that they're all supposed to be psychopaths, but like,
Yeah. Some things like the doctor kind of creeped me out. The movie killer child wannabe kind of creeped me out more than the doctor dude, and then the sadistic prison warden. Well,
oh, you got further than I did. I never even saw the prison war.
oh yeah, it's that episode. Sweet Jesus.
Yeah.
You would think something like that would catch my interest, but no. Like after that, I'm like, I'm done.
It's funny because the show was much more interesting when Rachel was still emotional, but ever since she's become sort of this like
Lifeless doll.
yeah, like Kudare automaton, it's lost a lot of its substance. And it's just not as interesting anymore. I don't really I was never I think they tried to make you invested in like the mystery of it all. Like, why are the people in these rooms? Why is Rachel here? What the fuck's going on? And it just didn't work.
Like, yep. Even though I initially talked about it when I actually saw the episodes, because I think it was one of the shows that I didn't get to, I basically looked at it like, okay, interesting mystery here. I want to know what's going on. And then after a while watching the episodes as they progress, I'm like, I don't care if I don't know what the mystery is. This is
like
a chore.
yeah, this is definitely something that his first episode was his best episode, and that's never the way you really want to set up a series.
Yeah, exactly. And then
you always want your first shit to be your worst shit. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about Angels of Death.
oh, I'm pretty much done talking about that. And then the other show that we dropped is Hurricane Receive.
Mm.
Even Jay, someone who wanted us to watch the show to begin with, dropped it simply because it's going nowhere. And I said it before. I think I said it last week and I actually caught up to watching the damn thing. It's dull as shit. And granted, I don't watch sports anime all that much, but it's dull. Fucking dull.
Yeah, I have honestly been dissuaded from watching it because I value Tony and Jeremy's opinions so much as far as anime, at least when it comes to this particular context. Uh, so I've just been dissuaded from watching it, and I don't imagine that I'll find it all too interesting to begin with because just like Tony, I'm not a big sports anime watcher unless it's boxing because Hajime no Ippo and Megalobox was fucking it up.
That is true. That was fucking great.
Yes. So yeah, actually only the boxing animes have ever captured my attention. Um, which is I don't know because I don't watch real boxing. Either way, so there's that. Maybe I'll look into looking at Hanebo, the badminton anime. It looks well produced, and there was a lot of hype about it. You know, people spoke about it in the same breath as they spoke about some of the series that we are continuing to watch. So maybe there's something to be found there.
I might look into that myself because I initially wanted to review that show to begin with. Initially, but I never had the time to actually sit down and watch an episode or two of it. So tune in next week, ladies and gentlemen, if we actually add that show or not. But enough of the shows that we dropped. Let's get back to the shows we are actually watching and continuing to watch.
Yeah, well, I mean, since Jeremy's not here, I might as well go ahead and start talking about his life and love, My Hero Academia.
Oh, I can talk about that shit too since I watched it as well.
Yeah, so we're on episode 55, and we get to see Class 1A showing off once again in the provisional licensing exam. Particularly, we get to see focus on Momo's team, which consists of, I don't know their real names.
Suyu, Kyoka, and Mizo, or Shoji, Jiro, and Asui.
Yes. And their teamwork versus
all girls school.
Yeah, I really should probably dedicate some of these people's names to memory, as well as Todoroki, Bakugo,
Kirishima, and Kaminari.
Yes, there we go. Thank you. It's like their names, they're there in the marble. Just gotta chisel them out. I can't think of anything.
Well, essentially, the portion with Todoroki, he fought against an entire group of ninjas with differing quirks that tried to counteract his quirk.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ninja that is able to manipulate the size of metals or just the size of things in general, and he's using tungsten against his flames, and with a few other quirks that also counteract his flames, and then other quirks to counteract his ice. But somehow, some way, Todoroki figures out how to beat all of them at once.
I mean, he is Todoroki after all.
That is true. And then, since a lot of the stuff with Todoroki, Momo's team are anime original, the stuff with Bakugo, Kirishima, and Kaminari, that's in the manga.
Yep.
So, with Bakugo, they are going up against the Shingetsu High School student that can basically turn people into meatballs.
Which is just disturbing on several levels.
And the one way he can use this quirk is manipulating his own flesh in order to entrap people in flesh balls. It's utterly horrifying.
And it's horrifying in like the weird way, like, yeah, that don't make no sense at all. Like, why would you do that?
That I don't know. I mean, when it comes to all the different RPGs we have done, like all the tabletop RPGs we've done, Jordan, all the shit that you've done for your characters are fucking insane. And this this guy's pretty much right up there.
So while I agree for the most part with that, I also like to point out that none of my characters have been that fucking sadistic. Like that's just, yeah, I don't even know what to say. Like that guy needs Jesus, and And whoever made this is in desperate need of Jesus as well.
I mean, I guess Horikoshi needs Jesus. But the one thing that took up the majority of the episode is Momo's team going against the the all girl school group with their leader, a second-year student who has basically her quirk is a high HQ based on what kind of tea she drinks. I mean, she was already smart to begin with, but she's even smarter.
Going about things.
Well, essentially, she figured out how to basically counteract everyone else's quirks, like knocking out Jiro's quirk by manipulating sound and damaging one of her ears, making sure that Shoji can't see anything with his dupla arms, and basically causing the room that they are in to start to freeze, so Asui would be in a hibernating state due to her frog-like characteristics, and then trying to force her and force Momo to use her quirk to use up all the lipids in her body. But what they didn't account for was Momo figuring out what their plan was and just knocking a good majority of them out with a giant fucking a big amp from her back.
Hey, when in doubt, gotta beat the fuck out of them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this episode really sings the praises of Momo here.
It does.
I mean, this is why this character got into UA by recommendation, so we get to see why she got in by recommendation, because she is fucking smart. I mean, she tried to figure out what the enemy's plan was, even though this second-year student had a quirk that basically gave her a high IQ, well, a higher IQ than she normally does. And Momo basically thought, like, yep, I'm going to figure out a way to defend my team, because that's what Midoriya, Ida, and Todoroki would have done. You know what? And I really appreciate the characterization they gave for Momo in the anime, which, to be fair, a lot of the characterization for our other Class 1A students is also very welcoming to see. And just to see different groups interacting with each other.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that.
So with that, I think that's everything for My Hero Academia, which another good episode for this arc. And next week's episode is going to mostly focus on the fight manga between the Shingetsu Meatball student going up against Bakugo and Nari. So what show do you want to cover next, Jordan?
Let's talk, because I'm going in order of things that appear as they appeared in my queue on Crunchyroll. Let's talk about How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. So this is episode 5, Imperial Night, and we get to meet Alicia. Alicia being the very, like, straight and narrow, dedicated.
Oh yeah, this is this Imperial Knight character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you know, the whole thing with Alicia is that she wants to get the job done. She's sent by, I think it's the king of the land. And they actually get to meet another character who is the lord of the city. And apparently this dude's intimidating as fuck.
Oh, that person that you're referring to is responsible for the city. He's not the king.
Yeah, I know. He's the lord of the city. That's what I mentioned. Yes.
Oh, I thought you said that he was king. I was like, no, not king, but...
Well, Alicia was sent by the ruling class of, like, the entire land.
Yep.
And then fucking... we learn that Shira, it has a bounty on her head thanks to her older brother being the ruler of the elves.
Who is a sick fuck.
Sick fuck. This is true, Jordan.
I mean, he wants to marry his sister and consolidate his power with her.
Yeah.
His sister. I mean, It's not even like that weird gray zone with like cousins or whatever that the Japanese try to pull every now and again. Nope, full on sister.
Yeah, and he's off to. It's basically to the point where bounty hunters or adventurers of ill repute actually want to take that chance and get that money, and just kidnap poor.
Yep.
And then
when he got that fight just to lower his relative power level and started smacking them into walls, I just died.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like Diablo or a protagonist in an isekai anime, I find him very enjoyable. And especially when you go into his different perspectives, like the demon lord persona that he projects on the outside, and on the inside is the sheltered NEET. And that's what I find amusing. He's like, what the fuck am I going to do with all this shit? I can't start a war with elves. Fuck no, man.
Hey, man.
Like, and then when Alicia rolls around, he's like, fuck, this bitch can read my mind. I better not say things and slip up. Yeah. And then this one,
I don't think that Alicia can read minds. I think that's just Diablo being paranoid.
Good. He doesn't know how to interact with other people, that's for sure.
No, neither of them.
And then, like, the MVP, because Shira gets captured by bounty hunters, and the two little rabbit fuckers, as I like to call them, deciding to just run off with her. Guess who comes to her rescue before Diablo does? Fucking Emil.
Yo, y'all gonna stop playing with Emil. My dude Emil may be weird.
Oh no, I like this guy.
Exactly what he said he was. He is a protector of women. He is, and he's unbalanced as shit.
Yes, this is true.
You probably don't want to get too involved with him, but when he says he's gonna do it, he does it.
Yes, this is true.
You gotta respect a man that sticks to his guns, and Emil is that man.
Yeah, I respect him too. I mean, perfectly honest, I'm not like shit talking this character or not, because I think he's great. It's just the lines that he says are fucking hilarious. Like,
also, I would not want to be those beast people.
Oh no, they got their.
he said he was going to straighten them out, and I'm just like, that's unsettling, Emil.
Like, he basically said, "I'm going to teach you fuckers how to respect women."
They're gonna come around the corner. All women are queens.
But
they're gonna be tipping fedoras by the end of the week. All right, but moving right along. But yeah, no, we're actually gonna get into some really interesting stuff now that Alicia's shown up and trying to prevent this war with the Greenwood Elves. Obviously, with Diablo being in charge of this, it's not gonna go particularly smooth, but it will be an interesting ride. I'm honestly interested to see how much of the light novels manga that the anime will get into adapting.
Yeah, that is true with the because shows like this normally get like 12 episodes, so if they can actually tell like a small collection of the first few light novels, that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how many volumes ultimately came out for the light novel or if they're even still going. I don't believe that they are, but I could be mistaken on that. But long story short, what I do know of the story continues a little bit beyond this, so I know we're in for a treat.
All right, cool. Now, by far the funniest episode this week is Cells at Work episode 5.
Oh my goodness. Cells at Work was hilarious. Mostly I kept dying because of Memory T Cell and his doomsday predictions. Like those were hilarious to me.
Oh yeah, that Memory Cell was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that was just crazy.
Although the parts that had me dying was basically when shit was really hitting the fan. And you have like the what was this cell called? It's not really a fat cell, but it's their
Mast cell.
mast cell, and how this cell, she decided to like release all the histamines she possibly could because the antibody cell decided to shoot a whole bunch of antibodies everywhere to get rid of the pollen. And this just causes a mass hysteria, mass destruction everywhere.
Yeah, it was literally just like the great floods all over again, everywhere, with no concern whatsoever. Then she gets dragged out by the angry mob, and then she's yelling at the B cell, and the B cell's yelling at her, so they start fighting in the streets. And then the fucking steroid shows up, and I'm just like, oh no.
Then I looked at them like, oh sweet Jesus, fucking Terminator like shit, destroying everything.
Yeah.
And then the ending moment of that episode with the steroid basically just finished with everything, and then the little flag pops out of his face saying, "Thank you for your patronage." I fucking died.
Hey man, you gotta be careful when you're taking them roids.
Yep, this is true. It's true. And everyone just lost their shit in this episode because the Cedar Pollens just decided to just come out and almost wreck shop. We barely saw, like, each episode we get to see, like, well, sure, we have the white blood cell and the red blood cell characters just interacting, which is always hilarious. And then seeing the other, like, various cells in the body just interacting with each other. Oh, this show is fucking great.
That it is. Also, the thing that I like the most about Cells at Work is that, for the most part, it's pretty medically accurate. I mean, obviously, your body is not a city with personified cells, but the medicine and interactions that these cells have with each other is pretty spot on. Yeah, and that just makes it hilarious to me. But all around, Cells at Work is definitely making its way up to the top of my list.
Oh, same here, definitely.
Obviously, with my personal love for How to Summon a Demon Lord, there's still some contest, but the competition is not stiff. However, this does bring us out of all the ones that we were reviewing and brings us into the newcomer.
Oh, yes.
Yuna and the Haunted Hot Springs. So this was not originally on the list because it sort of slipped my notice and I didn't think it would be any good. But having watched the first episode on a whim, I can now tell you I am now all the way caught up because it is funny as hell.
Oh yeah, I am of the same mind because you were the one that made sure to let me know about it because I tried to jog your memory about this show because I wanted to actually catch it myself, but I never got the chance to like watch it. And then you said, "Watch it, it's great." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I watched it. I'm like, "Yeah, you're right, Jordan. This is fucking great."
Yeah. So it just starts off, for one, Yagarashi, the main character, damn psychic that punches ghosts. Like that's just fucking hilarious to me. And then you come in and it's why can't I think of her name? The damn Yuna.
Yuna. The show's after her anyway.
Right? It's fucking Yuna, and she's just a mess. She's just a hot boiling mess.
That she is.
And everything she does is just so fucking hilarious. But she's so like redeemable for being, I don't even know, she's like lovable or whatever.
Oh yeah, because her whole deal is that she I think it's episode 2 or whatnot, where the monks decide to just come in and try to like send to heaven.
Yeah, no, the monks try to come and kill and wreck face in episode 1 actually.
Oh, okay.
Well, a monk comes and then the monks, plural, come in episode 2.
Yeah, that's right. And then we get to learn about the other tenants of this inn.
Got a demon slaying ninja.
The vessel of a cat god.
The descendant of an Oni or an ogre.
Shutendoji, to be exact.
Yes. And the household spirit of whose like domain is luck.
And I'm like, holy fuck, dude, this is amazing.
So you're just living in just a wondrous place.
Yep.
And then in episode 3, we get introduced to our little raccoon spirit that's obsessed with bread.
Yes, this little, and of course it has to be a lolly character. Lord Jesus.
A much more sufferable lolly character than the ones that we've seen in recent time.
I mean, this is true, but this one apparently wants breasts so bad that she wants to just grope and look at breasts that are bigger than hers.
Yep.
And I'm like, sweet Jesus.
So obviously Tony enjoyed those scenes, but the thing is hilarious. Then the next episode focuses on Yaya, who is a girl possessed by a cat god.
Oh no, the first half of the most recent episode features Sagiri.
Sajiri, the demon hunting ninja, has to track down a yokai that produces a fog that dissolves clothes, but it only seems to attack couples at night. So she has to go on a date with Yagarashi to lure it out into the open, and we get to see her more feminine side, as well as the very typical mentality that she doesn't find herself to be feminine or attractive, of which Yagarashi inevitably puts his foot in his mouth and compliments her, confusing her indefinitely and in solidifying her position in his harem. Very classical trophy stuff, but it was pretty well executed.
And given my love for the tsundere archetype in anime, she's actually one of the examples of a good tsundere, as opposed to like middle of the road or just terrible tsundere characters.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing about the anime that I enjoy the most. Is not that it's really breaking any boundaries as far as like type genre, but it plays very well to the strengths of these cliches.
Oh, definitely.
Tropes, not necessarily cliches. And it gives it a very sort of like fresh atmosphere, or maybe it's just nostalgic. I'm not totally sure as of yet, but I enjoy watching it a lot.
Oh, same here. And the whole point, a good portion of, I think it was either episode 2 or 3, where they had the ping pong battle.
It was episode 3.
Okay.
Because they were trying to kick him out.
Yeah, all because he inadvertently did perverted shit.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you would think that having learned that someone is possessed by the cat god and you see a cat, probably shouldn't just go around touching it. But
this is true. These are facts.
Sometimes you learn the hard way. But it worked out in the end because now she loves him to death because he makes delicious fried grilled fish, apparently. Yep. Also, I get a feeling that it's going to be a recurring theme that he's been possessed by someone that's situationally relevant to the ludicrous shit that happens in his life.
This is true. Apparently, because Yagarashi's whole backstory is that he was born a spirit medium and was just possessed by ghosts all the time. That just made him like an isolated individual. And then he somehow gets possessed by like a stockbroker or like someone to do with money.
He gets possessed by a day trader, and his entire life goes downhill as he ends up in massive amounts of debt.
And he just ends up homeless.
Yep. But then he trains to be a exorcist, developing his signature hands-on psychic abilities.
Yep. Where it just means he punches ghosts and yokai in the face.
Also, my dude is not just punching them. When he fucking dissipated that mist in episode 4 with his bare fist, Sakuragi was like, "What the fuck are you?"
It's like, this man, like, I think it's that moment where she was like, "Holy shit, what is this man?" I need to know.
The moistening begins.
And then, like, the ending bit of her portion of episode 4, where she actually puts on the cute girly clothes, and she just looks for herself in the mirror. I'm like, yes, this is hilarious.
Yeah. So that's definitely a series to look out for, and I will continue to watch that.
Oh, here.
Of course, personally, I'm still watching Overlord. I won't dwell on it too much because it's not technically a show that we're watching, reviewing for this. But season 3 of Overlord begins to expand Ainzul Ghan's ambitions of world domination, and we get to see him manipulate events within Karne Village, and ultimately see a lot of very tenuous plot lines sort of come together in a fashion that might not be immediately obvious to the viewers if you've never read the manga or the light novel source material. But we're coming into some great stuff. If you've been following the series thus far, I suggest you continue to watch it. One thing I will tell you about Overlord, in the first season, it focuses primarily on Ainzul Ghan and the people of Nazareth, and then season 2 and 3 deals with other individuals in the world and how they fit into his grander schemes. So if you're not interested in seeing something that's actually well constructed and not egocentric, this is not your show. But if you're like a functioning human being, continue to, I would recommend it.
Yeah. Well, I did see the show before. It's just I need to get back into watching it, and then once I'm all caught up, we can add it to the rotation properly.
Yeah.
And it's all good, because with me, when it comes to catching up with shows, it's next to nothing. But
yeah, they're only 20 minutes long anyway, right? So you can get 3 out in an hour.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
That, and you're caught up effectively.
This much is true. And then this brings us to the Otaku Soapbox question. Going back to what we initially said about the shows we had to drop, the topic I want to talk about is how the 3-episode system that most anime fans use to kind of gauge a show, it kind of, in a way, is very effective. Sure, some people miss out on shows that end up ultimately being great at the end, and we catch it at a later point, or we just know that the show is just going to be average or terrible on the set of 3 episodes.
Yeah, so the way I feel about the 3-episode system is that it's a good system for the simple fact that it gives, I guess it would really just depend on the length of the series. I would not say that a series that's going for 24 or I guess we don't really have these anymore, but the 52 episode seasons, you should give them more than 3 episodes if you're going to decide on watch or drop. But 3 episodes into a 12 episode series, if you honestly don't see yourself continuing to watch it, it's probably not worth your time, because at that point they've wasted a fourth of the material on either boring things or things that will not be ultimately relevant. And then you end up in a situation where you're rushing to the conclusion. Also, a lot of these shows where it's sort of hit and miss after the first 3 episodes are probably going to burn an episode on something pointless, like a beach episode or a vacation episode or a character building episode where they try to highlight one of the side characters and their dynamics. And you're like, no one gives a shit, right?
Mm-hmm. And plus, you can't necessarily, you could try to fix a show that's not relatively boring with its episode run, but if the first 3 episodes leave such a bad impression on the viewer, they're not going to watch it anymore. So the way I see it, I try my best to give every show that I watch a fair shake, but if it doesn't catch my interest right away, regardless if it's 3 episodes, 1 episode, hell, even 4 episodes that I gave Angels of Death, if it's dull, it's dull.
Yeah, and a lot of times some things just don't pick up right away. I can't think of any immediate examples of things that I didn't like in the beginning, but I was able to suffer through. And actually, I can. So if you ever watch D. Grayman, this is a perfect example of not judging a long-running series by its first 5 episodes. D. Grayman's slow to get up, right? It's a 100 episode series in total with the continuations, and it's more than 100 now because there's been a new season that continues on. But long story short, if you watch like the first 12 episodes almost, it's kind of slow. It's not bad, just kind of slow. Very generic shonen, sort of supernatural anime, and then it just switches up on you, and you're like, "What the fuck?" And then suddenly you're at episode 50, and you're like, "God damn it! Why didn't they dub the other 50? What the hell am I supposed to do now?" Or
Well,
you were
that's
smart and you watched it
actually
subbed, and you didn't have this problem, and now you were able to continue enjoying the adventures of Tiki Neek and Nonali and Alan fucking Clown King Walker. And I'm not going to get into it. It's great. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you watch it and watch it subbed.
well,
Dub's great though, but don't watch it dubbed because it's never going to be finished.
Well, for me, I think some of the shows that I came across in my lifetime that I have yet to finish because I got to like a good portion of them, and the one that comes to mind right away is the anime adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. Yes,
the adaptation of Romeo and Juliet.
Yes, there is.
Why did you even watch that, Tony?
I mean, it's not necessarily an actual adaptation in the truest sense of the word. Hell, one of the characters in the anime is William Shakespeare himself. And the roles within this narrative are reversed. Juliet is the more the central focus of the story. And Romeo is more of the Juliet archetype. Allow me to explain the weird shit that goes on in this particular, like, weird-ass adaptation. The entire Capulet family, because it was the ruling family of because we know how Romeo and Juliet favor, like, Verona. There we go. This world of Verona where fucking flying dragon horses exists. The entire Capulet family is slaughtered except for Juliet, and all of her usual supporting cast, sans her folks, are there.
Wait a fucking minute. That's not how that's supposed to work out.
I know. Like,
we set this tale in our fair Verona. The Capulets have been murdered. What?
Yeah, and the Montagues are the ruling family, and the patriarch, Lord Montague, is just ruling everywhere, just a real tyrant asshole. Tybalt's involved in this story, and Juliet has to masquerade as a man for the most part, but later becomes a vigilante, stopping small petty crimes where a doctor friend of hers just gets killed. Well, he gets burned at the stake, or something like that, so he dies being the vigilante. Yeah, shit is fucking nonsensical in this show. And I got to at least, I think, episode 9 when 9 or 10, because this is a 24-episode show, they actually meet each other for the first time because the Paris character is actually now a female character that's trying to romance Romeo.
This just sounds like a mess.
Yeah, it's a total mess. And I, to this day, have yet to finish this fucking nonsense. And a part of me wants to actually, like, finish it to say I've actually finished it. But another part of me is like, this show is dull as shit. Why would you want to watch it in the first place? But then I remember, oh, because the dub actually can use Shakespeare, some of the Shakespearean speak within the original text in very unique ways that you can't really use in Japanese. And plus the opening song, Inori, which is basically You Raise Me Up in Japanese. Not exactly the same song, but musically, it's basically You Raise Me Up.
I mean, I don't watch intros nor outros, so...
Oh, but the song itself is fucking great. One of my personal favorites. But then you also have to take into account, because I've yet to watch this, but this show is of excellent quality, the Count of Monte Cristo anime, which takes place in fucking space. Yeah.
No, you got me, Tony. I don't know shit about that.
But anyway, I think with that said, there is a reason why the 3-episode rule exists.
Actually, I think in recent history, I've only dropped 9 animes because I keep them up here, and one of them, when I tell you, they're gonna be like, "Wow, you fucking animal! How dare you drop this anime? What the fuck is wrong with you?" And that is Steins Gate. I dropped Steins Gate. I know that's like a mortal sin, but I just didn't fucking like it.
Although, to be fair, I never really watched Steins Gate myself, personally.
There
Because,
goes the viewership.
like, for me, time travel isn't really my go-to genre. And
Exactly.
plus, I mean, some of the scenes that I've seen from Steins Gate have been pretty funny, but when there's no interest in something to watch, I'm not gonna fucking watch it.
Yep. And I mean, I dropped a few other ones. I dropped God Eater. Lord Jesus, help me. Dropped Mikaguri Gakuen Kumakaku, which is essentially a anime where a bunch of people can use music and other forms of like cultural and artistic expression to perform magic, but it's all performance magic. It's essentially, you don't just make a sculpture, the sculpture is magical, and it has a like
certain property to it.
no, just it looking at it has a whole magical presentation. It would be like looking at a painting or hearing a song, but then being transported to an entirely different world and seeing some nutty shit. It's a good anime for people that are into that. I got all the way up to episode 9, but it didn't hold my interest strongly enough to finish out, which is actually something that's pretty interesting because I think it's a 12 episode series. So I made it all the way up to episode 9 and just decided, no, fuck it.
There's actually a few shows that I've done that too before in the past.
Yep. I dropped the 100, even though I read a lot of the manga, simply because, not because it was terrible. Like, if I had watched it when all the episodes were out, I probably would have finished it. But I was watching it when it was first coming out, and it wasn't good enough for me to go back and look at each of the episodes every week. Same reason I dropped Beatless. I thought it was going to be 12 episodes, so I pushed through, but it's actually 24 episodes, so I'm not going to watch the other half.
Oh my lord.
And Beatless is actually pretty interesting on a conceptual basis, but it really should have been a 12 episode show.
Very fair. What was a show that I've watched in various different anime seasons and I didn't finish all the way? Lord help me. Oh, my memory is trash. There was an anime that I wanted to watch like a few seasons ago, where basically it focuses primarily on cooking, and you travel, like you get little vignettes of different like fantasy characters in the worlds that they live in, and they travel to this diner that's basically their gateway into our world, just to have the chefs cooking.
I feel as though I've heard of this.
Yeah, but it was interesting. I got up to like episode 4, I believe, and I was like, I like this, but this is kind of boring. I mean, I love cooking shows, but I need a little bit of finesse in order for me to like get 100% invested into watching it. I still, to this day, have yet to finish the 3rd season of Food Wars.
Wow, you're playing games. Food Wars is great.
Yeah, I know. I love Food Wars myself. It's just I need to find the time to actually like continue to watch it. But Food Wars is great. It inspires me to cook every time I watch it. But I think with that, this will end this week's episode of Weeb Warriors. Since you don't really have a channel of your own, but Jordan, if there's anything you want to bring to the audience's attention, feel free to.
Nothing that I can think of off the top of my head.
Like,
except I guess I can pub my brother's new channel.
That's kind of what I was referring to, Jordan.
Yes. I mean, well, shit, why didn't you just say so, Tony? Either way, so my brother has recently begun his own YouTube channel, Ninja Black HD. He does gaming videos, reactions, and more. He posts content at least once a week. Thus, it's looking like he's on a schedule where he's posting almost every 2 days nowadays. And he's covering everything from trailers to gameplay videos to walkthroughs to his uncensored live reactions to various things. And you should go check him out.
With that, with that, you know that I hopefully post new videos myself every Tuesday. If not, it's every other Tuesday or whenever I feel like it because I'm a lazy bastard. But depending on the time frame, I'm going to be moving back into my father's place relatively soon here. So I might be in a media blackout for that most part, but I'll let everybody know. But come next Monday, I will be back for another episode of Weeb Warriors. Just so you know, because I need to start packing all my stuff.
Okay. Awesome.
All right. Well, catch you guys next time.